وإذا أذقنا الناس رحمة من بعد ضراء مستهم إذا مكر في الله أسرع مكرا إن رسلنا يكتبون ما تمكرون هو الذي يسيركم في البر والبحر حتى إذا كنتم في الفلك وجرين بهم بريح طيبة وفرحوا بها جاءتها ريح عاصف وجاءهم الموج من كل مكان وظنوا أنهم أحيط بهم دعوا الله مخلصين له الدين لئن أنجيتنا من هذه لنكونن من الشاكرين فلما أنجاهم إذا هم يبغون في الأرض بغير الحق يا أيها الناس إنما بغيكم على أنفسكم متاع الحياة الدنيا ثم إلينا مرجعكم فننبئكم بما كنتم تعملون إنما مثل الحياة الدنيا كماء إن أنزلناه من السماء فاختلط به نبات الأرض مما يأكل الناس والأنعام حتى إذا أخذت الأرض زخرفها وزينت وظن أهلها أنهم قادرون عليها أتاها أمرنا ليلا أو نهارا فجعلناها حصيدا كأن لم تغن بالأمس كذلك نفصل الآيات لقوم يتفكرون والله يدعو إلى دار السلام ويهدي من يشاء إلى صراط مستقيم
No sooner do we let people taste some mercy after some hardship has afflicted them, than they begin to scheme against our revelations. Say, God schemes even faster. Our messengers record all your scheming. It is He who enables you to travel on land and sea, until, when you are sailing on ships and rejoicing in the favoring wind, a storm arrives. Waves come at those on board from all sides, and they feel there is no escape. Then they pray to God, professing sincere devotion to Him. If you save us from this, we shall be truly thankful. Yet no sooner does He save them, than back on land they behave outrageously against all that is right. People, your outrageous behavior only works against yourselves. Take little enjoyment in this present life. In the end, you will return to us, and we shall confront you with everything you have done. The life of this world is like this. Rain that we send down from the sky is absorbed by the plants of the earth, from which humans and animals eat. But when the earth has taken on its finest appearance and adorns itself, and its people think they have power over it, then the fate we commanded comes to it by night or by day, and we reduce it to stubble, as if it had not flourished just the day before. This is the way we explain the revelations for those who reflect. But God invites everyone to the home of peace and guides whoever He wills to a straight path. So now, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa wala, amma ba'd. In Surah Yunus, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He informs us of a very important message and a very important aspect or problem that we have. And the first thing that I want you to look at is the order of these verses. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He starts by making the point that no sooner do we let people taste some mercy after some hardship has afflicted them, that they begin to disobey Him, that they begin to move away from what He has revealed. But the angels, they are recording all of that. So this is the point that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes. He then gives us a practical example. He tells us about those who are sailing on the sea in their boats, and they are happy, rejoicing about the wind that they have that's blowing them. A storm comes and surrounds them. This affliction comes to them. They're fearful. They turn back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But then as soon as that affliction is removed, they turn away again. So a practical example Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives to really hammer home, drive home the point. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives another example, a comparison for us to again drive home the point that the life of this world is like the rain that is sent down from the sky, and it causes plants and vegetation to grow, which people eat from. They become so self-confident that they believe they have power over it, and then it is taken away by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's command. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives two examples of this point. So the first thing we should note is this must be an important point for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to place so much emphasis on this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us that people are quick to turn away. After returning to Him through adversity, through some trial that has come to them. This is the point. People are quick to turn away. And we're given first a practical example. Again, adversity coming to the people. They start in a position of ungratefulness. Adversity comes to them. They even swear, they're promising, we'll be grateful if you save us from this. The affliction is removed, they turn away again. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us another example of this. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, at the end, He informs us that He's inviting us to a world without adversity. And note that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says in the second of the two examples, at the end, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, we explain the revelation for those who reflect. These examples are given for people to reflect upon, to ponder over, to think about. لَعَلَّهُمْ, that they perhaps you may reflect and think about these examples. So that's what the signs are for. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says this in many other places. It's for people who reflect, people who remember, people who think, who use their intellect. So that is what we are meant to be doing with these examples. And we know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He tells us, وَلَقَدْ ضَرَبْنَا لِلْإِنسَانِ فِي هَذَا الْقُرْآنِ مِنْ كُلِّ مَثَلٍ, that He has put forth for us all kinds of parables. All kinds of parables. But the disbelievers, those who deny, they say that these parables, they're just falsehood, that, you've come to us with something, untrue. And in fact, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He tells us He's not shy. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَسْتَحْيِي أَن يَضْرِبَ مَثَلًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's not shy of giving an example, a parable. Even if it's something as small as a gnat, a fly, a mosquito. Even something as small as that. And in fact, the disbelievers, they would use these parables, or they would mock at these parables. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala informs them that He's not shy of this. He's not shy of giving parables, because the parables have a purpose. The parables, these examples Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives, are important. They are a point for people to reflect upon. The wise one is the one who reflects upon this. The ulil albab, the one who has sense and intellect. So this is the point of these examples. And again, the point here is important. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving it emphasis by first making a point, then giving two examples after it. So this emphasis it tells us something. And this general principle is there for us. That if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us something, it must be important. And if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is emphasizing something, it must be even more important. So don't read it as, some condition that some people have. Read it as a condition that you have. This is your problem that you need to address. The example of sailing is given, okay, or the sailors who go out. And there's multiple benefits in thinking about this example. Now, if you look at Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's the one who gave you the means to travel. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us this. He's the one who enables you to travel on land and sea. He gave you the intellect to be able to create the means of travel. He gave you the natural resources, both to make it and then also to utilize it. Okay, at that time they're making the boats out of wood, and then they have the wind to blow them. Now we make our ships out of metal, and we have our oil to power it. But all of these things are given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He gives us the physical abilities to use them. Without our legs to walk, our hands to lift stuff and move stuff and drive and whatever, we wouldn't be able to travel. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who gives us the physical abilities, the intellect, the resources to both make and use our means of travel. And He's made it easy for us. Okay? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us He's made it easy for us. And despite all of that, when we're rejoicing, they're rejoicing about this good wind that has come to them, a favorable wind, blowing their boat in the right way. They're rejoicing about it. They're not rejoicing in gratitude. They're not grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, saying, look at, alhamdulillah, we have this wind. Alhamdulillah, we have this boat. Alhamdulillah, we have all of these means. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made it easy for us. No, they're rejoicing at their own power, their own abilities. They'll talk about Mother Nature, or their, the superior boat that they have made, the superior sail to catch the wind, their superior skills in sailing their boat. They're rejoicing, but without gratitude towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So to bring them back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah sends adversity upon them, sends a trial upon them, afflicts them with some problem. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us this, that He afflicts people with trials to bring them back, لَعَلَّهُمْ يَرْجِعُونَ, so that they return to Him. So He afflicts them with these trials. And they turn back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They turn back to Him. saying, "Oh Allah, if you save us from this, we'll be thankful. We'll be of the grateful ones. We'll be believers. We'll be good doers." This is no different from the one who on the day of judgment who will say, if only you give us more time, we'll give charity, we'll believe. So they say they're turning back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saves them. And immediately they go back to their old ways. They go back to their old ungratefulness, their heedlessness, their distraction by this worldly life. And just as this example is given of these people, we should look to ourselves, reflect on this. Firstly, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, through the same means that He benefits us, He can also harm us. The sun, it benefits us. We get the sunlight, we get our vitamin D, we get our daytime, so on and so forth. The sun can also harm, heat stroke. The rain, similar, nourishes our plants, causes things to grow so we can have food to eat, but can also cause flooding. The wind, same thing again. All of these things. You can even start talking about fossil fuels, plastics, or even going as far as, illnesses, bacteria, viruses. These things, in cases, they have benefits. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can also use them as a trial for us, as an affliction for us. You have in all of these things beneficial types or times. And you also have times when we are afflicted and trialed by them. And sailing in particular, how feeble the boat is compared to the waves that surround it, compared to the sea that it sails upon, compared to the wind that blows it around. It's feeble, small, tiny, insignificant. And such is our situation. We need to realize this, that in our own insignificance, our own feebleness, we are tiny and insignificant and feeble. We don't have power over the forces around us. So we need to take heed from this example. Just like that boat in the sea could so easily be crushed by those waves around it. Such is our situation as well. And then we look to this example again. How close are we to these people that when adversity strikes us, suddenly we're all making dua, increasing in our dhikr, increasing in remembering death and remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But ask yourself this, after the affliction has gone, are you still making dua? Are you still remembering Allah? Or have you forgotten Him and got distracted by the worldly life once more? Have you gone back to your ways? So think of these things. This example is for you to reflect upon and to ask, am I one of these people? Am I the person mentioned in this example? And I've said before, and inshallah, we'll keep repeating this point, that we look to the Quran to find out what our problems are. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving the solution to our real problems. Someone in this affliction might think their problem is the affliction. Those people on the boat, they thought their problem was dying, being crushed by the waves. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is informing them of what their real problem is. It was their heedlessness and their ungratefulness before the affliction, and their ungratefulness that they returned to after the affliction. That is their problem that they need to solve. That is what we take from this ayah. Not that our problem is the affliction that we're faced with. No, it's how we were before the affliction and how we will be after the affliction, after the trial that we have. And of course, this is very relevant to our time. But it's on one hand it is. On the other hand, it's not, because we are afflicted with trials and tribulations throughout our life. And this is, the time we are living in now might be, half a year, 1 year, 2 years. It's small compared to our lifespan. And our lifespan, we will have multiple trials and tribulations and afflictions. So we need to bear this in mind, not just for now, but for always. And these trials, they should result in our betterment. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is sending them for us to return back to Him. So just like these people were trialed, these people on this boat, they were trialed, they were rejoicing after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had enabled everything to them, but they weren't grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent this trial for them to become grateful to Him. So this is how we should see our trials. They are sent for us to become grateful to Allah. So when we are grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we leave our sins and our ingratitude in the time of affliction, and we stick to that after the affliction has passed. We stick to that after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has saved us and has protected us. We don't go back to our ways of heedlessness and ingratitude. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gives the example of the life of this world. And much of the same points can be made with this ayah. But there are some specific points that we can take from this that we perhaps couldn't take from the previous ayah. The first, and you'll see many parallels, where does the life of this world come from? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says it's like the rain that we send down from the sky. The rain is sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the first place. So this life that we have in the life of this world, it is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the first place. And in fact, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is showing us through this example that life comes and goes by His command. First, He sent down the rain for the life and the plants to grow. And then when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's command comes, it's reduced to stubble. It's reduced to nothing. We find that in this example, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala informs us people, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives them more, they become more arrogant. They become more conceited, more ungrateful, more self-important. This is the cause of the distraction that they are faced with. They're easily distracted by the beauty and the adornment of the life of this world. The adornment comes to them, even if it is something transient, even if it is obvious it's something transient, something temporary. They're still easily distracted, still become of those who think that this is going to last forever. It's going to be with them forever. This wealth, these beautiful vegetation and plants and greenery, it's going to last them forever. They have control over it. As long as they do their part, look after it, it will be there for them. So easily distracted. Those things which should be signs for us, the rain that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala causes to fall, the plants that He causes to grow, the beauty that He causes to sprout, all of these things should be signs for us. But instead, how do we take them? They become a source of distraction for us, become something that distracts us from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We take these instead of signs of our own power and our own abilities. And the life of this world compared to the plants, and you see how fragile these plants are. They're easily caused to perish. And just as these plants are easily caused to perish, such is our worldly life. Whether it be our lives or livelihoods, easily can be taken away. And in fact, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He tells us, as if it had not flourished just the day before. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the nations, in fact in the next surah, Surah Hud, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about some of the nations that came before, He says, كَأَلَّمْ يَغْنَوْا فِيهَا, as if they had never existed on it, on the earth. No legacy, no mark, no sign. This is our worldly life. This is what we leave. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes us, there's nothing left of us. Perhaps people will remember you for 2, 3 generations. Then after that, there's nothing of you. You have nothing left on this earth. And perhaps for me, one of the most important points. Look at these plants. these plants, this vegetation, what do they comprehend about the forces that have brought them into being? Do they understand how the rain forms? Do they understand how the wind blows the seeds? Do they understand these insects who, cause the fertilization? Do they understand even the farmer who plants them and sows the seeds and waters them? They don't understand any of these. And just like that is our comprehension of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So how arrogant is the one who says, because you can't prove the existence of God, there's no scientific evidence for the existence of God, I'm not going to believe in God. How arrogant is such a person? Because just as the plants have no comprehension of the farmer, what comprehension do we have of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? If a plant, if plants could speak and they said to each other, we can't perceive this farmer. We don't have eyes or ears or anything like that to perceive this farmer. Therefore, the farmer doesn't exist. This is ridiculous. The plant, he doesn't have any senses to perceive the farmer, so of course he's going to think that. That doesn't mean the farmer doesn't exist. Similarly, we don't have the ability to comprehend Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala beyond what He has revealed to us, beyond what He has given us and the science He has given. So how arrogant is the one who says, because I can't scientifically prove it, that means I'm not going to believe in the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is our shortcoming that would lead one to that conclusion. But we have this example, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives these examples for us to ponder over. Few final points, inshallah. We mentioned Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's command. It comes whenever He wishes, however He wishes. And we should recognize that. Our time on this earth is just as fragile as the time of those plants. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's command comes, it can come by night or by day. It will lead to us to perishing however He wishes and whenever He wishes. And we need to make sure that when we look at the plants, when we look at the farms, when we look at the fruit and the trees and all of those things, and we hear about, for example, I've read recently about a virus affecting fig trees, killing off millions and millions of fig trees. And you kind of just say, yeah, of course, there's no surety in their life. There's no surety in our life in the same way. And then a final point on this ayah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala compares the worldly life to the plants of the earth. And just as some of plants, they bear fruit and they look pretty and beautiful. In the same way, you have people who bear fruit, who do good, righteous actions, who are beauty of character and beauty in their action. But in the same way, you have plants that are thorny, that are invasive, that are, unattractive and undesirable. In the same way, you have people who are evil in their actions, evil in their mannerisms, not of benefit to society. So we should reflect on these examples that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us. And finally, the page, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ends by telling us that God invites to the home of peace, the one place that is free of the adversity. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is inviting us to it. Ponder these examples. Reflect on these so that you may answer that invitation. And then not only does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala invites us, He guides us. He guides us through His ayat, through His verses and His signs. So our job, and there's a hadith wherein the Prophet ﷺ, he said, everyone will enter Jannah except those who refuse. Don't be of those who refuse the guidance, refuse the invitation. Rather reflect on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's ayat. Make sure that you are grateful both in before and after adversity. Patient, turning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us from those who reflect upon and are guided by His signs. To make us from those who turn back to Him in adversity. and not return to distraction after adversity has passed.